Well, hello. Just wanted to pop on here and do a quick little video. Something very cool happened the other day, and I've been meaning to show it. I didn't want to bombard with a whole bunch of videos all at one time, so it's probably be a nice slow drip of videos here for the next couple of days. So, first thing I want to talk about real quick was just sort of, I know a lot of people have been talking about Record Store Day and the Black Friday Record Store Day specifically, and some of the releases and just the kind of the price and things and I don't know. It's a very weird thing because I mean I was kind of talking with Rob Panique's 1960. Definitely a huge asset to the vinyl community. But he was just talking about he had purchased some stuff from one of the big chains. It's a kind of a big independent chain, if you will, in Boston. I used to buy stuff from their website all the time, and they the cost of some of the stuff was a little bit more expensive, and he sort of wrote a letter and kind of an open letter, I guess, to them about the pricing. And to me, Record Store Day, I mean, it is important, but I've always kind of had the kind of the mentality that every day is Record Store Day. It's you got to be down in the trenches. You have to be out, and I for one, I'll at least go once a week for sure. Sometimes it's even upwards of three times a week. It varies, but it's something where it's kind of like people talk about Christmas, how it's sort of, you have the Christmas spirit and being joyful and being nice to others and kindness, and it's nice to kind of one day, you have one day to do it, but it's something that the impact, it needs to be, you need to make a conscious effort for it to be every day. And it's cool. I don't want to downplay the importance of it, because definitely it's going to get people to go out and go to their local store and all that. I just don't like I don't like how people will buy the stuff and then you see it on eBay, or even for this time, some of that stuff was even on eBay the day before it was even available for Black Friday, which is just people making money off of that. I mean, I understand why they're raising the price, why you see all these stores that have it so much, because if somebody's going to sell it at the store, they're going to try to make as much money as they can, and because they know that people are going to be taking those and throwing those up on eBay. Some of the Ryan Adams releases from the the most current things were 1/7. Actually, it was a double 7-inch, but they were going for like $40 and $50. The Sid Barrett LP original. I'm talking about the one in April. I mean, it's madness. So it's, I didn't partake in any of it. Whatever's left over, some of those birds and Yardbirds 7 inches, probably go pick them up. But I wasn't gonna make a point to do anything, because it's just, like I said, got to make every day Record Store Day. That's they gotta make a living, and hey, it's good. It's not we're not doing anything wrong. But enough of my rambling. What I wanted to talk about. Hello to all the new subscribers out there. Thank you for coming along on this, magical mystery tour that we have. But I wanted to talk about my mother was a huge Beatles fan growing up. She liked the early Beatles. We kind of always, joke about, she's like, I stopped listening to the Beatles when they started doing drugs and things like that. And, personally, I think that's kind of my, it's the Beatles that I like the best. So, weird sort of paradox going on there. But growing up, certainly her childhood crush, and she always told me about her Beatles records, and she was like, oh, I made a scrapbook of all my Beatles kind of stuff, like clippings and newspaper clippings and whatnot. And just kind of with some of the events that have happened within the last year or so, some of this stuff has finally been unearthed and kind of come to light. And over the weekend, I was kind of visiting with her, and she was just like, oh, hey, you want to see my Beatles scrapbook? And we're looking through it, and I was just like blown away. I thought it was so cool. And she was like, well, you can have it. And I was just, I was really, taken back and kind of, choked up about it. That it's gonna be something I'm gonna cherish for forever. It's, it's one of a kind. you know, made by my mom, you know, growing up, whatever. So I figured I would share it with you. So here it is here. Sort of the first half of it was sort of her, you know, her crushes, and you know, we were kind of joking about it. She's like tearing all of her love notes out of it, and I was sort of like, oh, okay. So, but some of these have kind of fallen out of here. This first page, there's a Beatles clipping here. It says "real cool at the pool." Bottom's kind of nice. Nice thing about refrigeration. You know, we won't talk about the times in advertising here, but you know, we'll let stereotypes do what they may. But this is just really cool. She just kind of collected stuff that was in the newspaper, and I apologize. I'm trying the best to get these to be good, so just bear with it here while it adjusts. But it just talks about, you know, get the Beatle Beat harmonica from Hohner. It's just an advertisement for a harmonica. A picture of John Lennon on there. But this is just all, you know, stuff that was in the newspaper. You know, family obviously got the, you know, the daily news, so she would go through and save all the clippings. So here's some stuff about, you know, John and Cynthia, what the Beatles think of U.S. girls, some interesting things. There's a couple advertisements for Beatles dolls here, right here. Whoops, over there. So it's really cool, and like I said, this is, most of this is probably from, you know, 64, I would guess, 64, 65. You know, anything that was in the newspaper, she just sort of would take out of there. I'm going to try to maybe scan some of these in. We have a scanner, so I didn't really... Sam just sort of brought that to my attention here just a little bit ago, but I think it'd be kind of cool to do. Here's a nice little kind of an advertisement for KQV, which is a local radio station. It's now a talk station, but it used to be like an AM top 40 back in the day, and they kind of, you know, ushered in the Beatles in Pittsburgh. They were sort of the one station that you know, they kind of had all the exclusives with them. Of course, you know, Beatlemania in full force. Some other really cool stuff in here. Just, this is really cool. You know, she cut out any little cartoons that were Beatles joke. It says yeah, yeah, yeah. So got all kinds of really neat stuff in here. This one I think is really cool. This one sort of means a lot to me. This is the Beatles. It's an advertisement for Hard Day's Night. So this is sort of what would be in the, you know, when they're, you know, for movie releases basically, and it gives a list of all the different, you know, all the different places where it was playing at. And I asked her, I said, you know, where did you guys go see it? And, you know, the one was the drive-in that was, you know, the closest to them, but it has it listed on there. So sort of some sentimental meaning behind that one. So, you know, I always kind of look at that and know the kind of the story behind it. But a lot of this stuff is just, you know, kind of fluff pieces. You know, when the Beatles, you know, of course, when the Beatles first arrive. You know, here's a really cool thing. It's really great. It just talks about there was, when the Beatles came, it says Beatles fan robbed, and it was sort of a police report about somebody 16 of Lansdale Street in the north side told police that she was waiting for the Beatles at the Civic Arena when somebody in the crowd took her purse containing $13, which $13 in 1964, that's a lot of scratch. So, you know, just very interesting stuff. You know, there's a picture of Jimmy Durante here wearing a Beatles wig, just a little funny little write-up about that. It's totally great. I will probably make a bigger selection of it, I guess, but some of the kind of the ones that have fallen out here is here's one about when this is when Ringo got married. 2 down, girls, 2 to go. And it's on the back here, the Post-Gazette puzzles, and this is from February 12th of 1965. So, and then these were some really cool things that were also in here. So when the Beatles played at the Civic Arena, which there's a Doors, one of the Bright Midnight Archives, they have a concert where they're playing at the Civic Arena here. But sort of, you know, the Beatles fans. And my mother, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but she had, when the Beatles flew into Pittsburgh, you know, they live pretty close to the airport, so her parents took them and they, you know, saw them coming off the plane. They have some 8mm films, which, of course, is, you know, my Indiana Jones and kind of the mission here that I'm going to try and see if I can unearth this. Here's just a picture of the inside of the Civic Arena. 13,000 Beatles fans, which I believe was a record at the time. It was like the biggest indoor concert in Pittsburgh ever. Here's a nice little spread. KQV welcomes the Beatles. They did a horrible job on that banner. But just really cool. This is probably given away. I have a lot of little things from like some of the local radio stations that are, you know, little kind of, you know, they would post what the top 40 records were, you know, every week. There's sort of it's with the KQV microphone there, right there in the middle. And there's another one that's sort of one of the top jocks interviewing Paul there. So just really cool stuff. Thought I would share. So I hope everybody, your week is going well for you. And we'll definitely be back with some vinyl finds. Yeah. So thanks for watching. See you on down the trail.